Hi, this is James Shug with Westpac London's end of day report for Friday the 16th of September. Equity market sentiment started today's session pretty positively. We saw some decent 2 or 3% gains on the major European markets, basically reflecting the lack of fresh bad news on Greece, optimism that with Tim Geithner attending the European finance ministers meeting in Poland, that maybe something really concrete, more substantial might actually emerge from that. Geithner himself apparently has some pretty decent plans for how he thinks Europe should sort out some of its problems related to the sovereign debt crisis. And certainly his presence there is something that we haven't seen before, and markets took some encouragement from that. The soothing noises we've been hearing from European politicians as well regarding Greece continuing to remain in the euro and in the EU also helped markets along. However, it turned not nasty, but it turned quite a bit softer later on in the session. We heard that the German cabinet hasn't yet discussed the legislation required for the European Stability Mechanism, which takes over from the current bailout arrangements in 2013. And the risk is if they don't talk about it now, discuss it now, it's not going to be legislation won't be put in place this year. That's seen as a big negative for markets because they want some sort of certainty about what's going to happen beyond 2013 when the current arrangements expire. Also, we've reported on one of the news stations that the take-up of the Greek debt swap from shorter-term debt to much longer-term debt, which kind of involves a selective default, actually, according to some of the ratings agencies, the take-up of that hasn't actually been as high as needed to ensure that swap actually can take place. So that's just one report. It's not confirmed yet, but certainly that report did dent market optimism as well. So whereas we had decent gains earlier on in the session, several percent on most of the European markets, heading into at the close of Europe, we saw the FTSE up just 0.6%. The French market's actually down 0.5%, with the banks down 5 or 6% today. All later on, those drops happening late in the session, and the German market still managed a 1.2% gain, although not as strong as we saw earlier. The German market, you've got to view with a little bit of not suspicion, but a little bit of it's a little bit different because there's an element of investor kind of willingness to see the European thing fail. Because some people believe that Germany is better off outside of the euro, but I don't think that's a mainstream view by any means yet in Germany. Okay, so moving on to US markets, we did see more than a 100-point gain earlier on, but as I speak now, the Dow's up only 0.3% at 11,465. It's just gone 5 o'clock in London. The broader S&P measures up 0.2%, and the Nasdaq's up 0.3%. So the gains there have been muted following the late sell-off in Europe, which then dragged down US markets as well. Not much exciting on the data front today, a few bits and pieces. One highlight was a bounce in consumer sentiment. Well, not a bounce, it rose 2 points in September, the preliminary September read for the University of Michigan's sentiment series. Still down very sharply over the previous 3 or 4 months, and only a very slight bounce, but nevertheless it was still up, not down. So that might have contributed to the early positive sentiment on US equities as well, which has since eroded. On commodity markets, we've got the gold price up 1.5%, a late move there too, largely related to the renewed concerns about Greece that I mentioned earlier. We've got copper prices down 0.5%, and crude oil actually down 2.2%. We're looking at $87.36 a barrel. The Aussie dollar's held up okay, actually. It rose to 1.037 against the US dollar today, and managed to pretty much hold on to those gains despite the late sell-off on equity markets. And we're waiting to hear from Jean-Claude Trichet following that finance ministers meeting in Poland. He was due to speak after European markets are closed, which means any time from basically now on. He hasn't spoken yet though, so I can't report on it, and I've got a presentation to do tonight. So on that note, I'll leave you and see you next week.